took every man I loved, so I made sure she could never take another man again. My sister Lila always wanted whatever man I had. Every time I brought a guy home, she'd walk around in tiny shorts until he noticed. She'd laugh at all their jokes and touch their arms. By the third time they came over, they were asking for her number instead of mine. It started in high school with Brandon. He was my first real boyfriend, and we'd been together 6 months when I brought him home. Lila appeared in this tiny dress and spent dinner leaning across the table. 2 weeks later, I caught them making out in her car. When I confronted her, she shrugged and said he pursued her. Our parents believed her story about my jealousy. She dumped him immediately, but kept his varsity jacket in her closet. Then came Alex in college, who lasted 2 years before meeting Lila. He promised he wasn't interested in girls like her, but during spring break, she orchestrated her attack perfectly. First, she needed help with fake homework. Then her car broke down daily, requiring rides everywhere. I found them in my bed one afternoon. She cried to our parents that I was making things up. They accused me of blaming her for my failures. She kept his watch and wore it constantly like a medal. The worst was Daniel after Lila had married Robert 3 years ago. We were engaged and living together when she started visiting constantly. She'd show up when I was at work and act surprised when I arrived. Daniel grew distant until I found his poems at her apartment. She'd manipulated him into writing new ones about her. When confronted, she laughed and said, "It's not my fault men prefer me." Everything changed when I started dating Paul from work. I kept him secret for 3 months to protect him, but Lila had already found his social media and started her research. I went to her apartment to grab my jacket using the spare key she'd given me. She was showering, so I checked her closet for it. That's when I found the hidden drawer behind her closet panel. Inside were dozens of trophies from men she'd stolen. Each had labels with names and dates. Brandon's jacket, Alex's watch, Daniel's poems, and items from men I didn't recognize. Her journal sat next to the collection. Every entry detailed their weaknesses and how she'd won them. The newest page had Paul's name with notes about his interests and habits. She'd already cleared a space in the drawer for his trophy. My hands shook as I read her clinical documentation of destroying relationships. That's when I realized she'd never stop until I stopped her. I studied that journal like my life depended on it. Every entry showed the same pattern in her conquests. She only wanted men who belonged to someone else. The harder the challenge, the more she craved the win. Several entries mentioned the ultimate conquest, but never gave details. Still in her apartment, I noticed her laptop open on the desk. Her email was still logged in from earlier. I found drafts where she'd been researching someone named James Walker for months. He was married to her friend Melissa, who I'd met at Lila's wedding. Her notes said he was completely devoted and impossible to seduce. She'd tried twice at parties, and he'd politely shut her down. Her journal called him the White Whale, and she was obsessed. I remembered Melissa mentioning James was intensely private and hated social media. The only thing he loved more than her was his company's reputation. That gave me an idea. I created a fake LinkedIn profile for a tech journalist interested in profiling James's company. I messaged Lila pretending to be researching successful entrepreneurs and mentioning James specifically. I said I'd heard rumors about his appreciation for beautiful women at tech conferences. She took the bait instantly. Lila started showing up at every tech event in the city. She cornered James at a conference and tried her usual moves, but this time she was desperate and obvious about it. She touched him inappropriately in front of investors. She sent explicit messages to his company email. She even showed up at his office claiming to be a potential client. James filed a restraining order after she grabbed him at a charity gala. His wife Melissa found out about everything and reached out to other women. Turns out Lila had targeted multiple married men in their social circle. The wives compared notes and found the pattern. One of them was a lawyer who helped them document everything. Robert discovered the truth when the restraining order was served at their home. He searched their bedroom and found the trophy drawer himself. The labels told the story of years of deception. He saw his own wedding ring listed as Conquest Number 1 with the date from when she stole him from her college roommate. He called several numbers from the journal and learned the full scope. Within a week, he'd filed for divorce and contacted every man on the list. Everything collapsed after James filed the restraining order. Job gone, marriage over, reputation destroyed. Robert's lawyer used her trophy drawer in court. It's been 2 years and she can't get dates anywhere. The wives created a warning system. She collected men but ended up alone and unwanted forever.